Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Meredith Williams from the Capacity Collective. In this video, we introduce you to the Best Starts for Kids culturally responsive measurement tools, protective factors, or the CRMT-PF. We will call it the CRMT for short. It was created by the Capacity Collective and the King County Best Starts for Kids initiative. It was tested and validated in diverse communities across King County, Washington. In the next few minutes, we will discuss what are protective factors, what is the CRMT-PF, and how might the CRMT be helpful to our programs. As it says in the name, the CRMT measures protective factors in families. Protective factors are a strengths-based way of measuring health in families and communities. Protective factors have been shown to make positive outcomes more likely for young children and their families, and to reduce the likelihood of child abuse and neglect. The CRMT measures 5 protective factors: family resilience, knowledge of parenting and child development, social supports, concrete supports, and parent or caregiver and program staff relationship. Each of these attributes or conditions factor into the overall health and well-being of a family. Of course, there are plenty of other things that contribute to health: genetic predisposition, access to health care and medication, access to good food, environmental factors, and much more. The protective factors within this framework are specifically ones that early learning and home visiting programs can support families in strengthening. These protective factors are all pretty big, broad concepts. That's why we have definitions of them here, and also why the CRMT has several different questions for each protective factor. Here are the protective factors and their definitions. The first protective factor in the CRMT is family resilience. That is, families have adaptive skills and strategies to persevere when faced with challenges, crisis, and/or trauma. The CRMT uses 5 questions to measure family resilience. The second protective factor in the CRMT is knowledge of parenting and child development. That is defined as parents or caregivers have age-appropriate expectations for children's abilities and understand and use consistent, effective childcare techniques. The CRMT uses 4 questions to measure knowledge of parenting and child development. The third protective factor is social supports. That is, parents or caregivers have support from family, friends, neighbors, and community that helps provide for a family's emotional needs. The CRMT uses 5 questions to measure a family's level of social support. The fourth protective factor is concrete supports. That is, parents or caregivers have access to tangible supports and services, including financial supports, that help families cope with stress and provide day-to-day necessities. The CRMT uses 4 questions to measure a family's level of concrete supports. The final protective factor in the CRMT is the relationship between the parent or caregiver and the program staff they've been working with. That is defined as the supportive, understanding relationship between parents and caregivers and program staff that positively affects parents or caregivers' success in participating in services. The CRMT uses 4 questions to measure a family's relationship with program staff. The CRMT is made up of 22 questions to measure those protective factors. Each protective factor has 4 or 5 questions. There's also an optional page of demographic data and program data. The CRMT can be used as a whole or in sections for programs who want to measure specific protective factors. When given interview style, the CRMT takes an average of about 30 minutes to administer. The CRMT can be used in two ways, depending on how you want to use the data. It can be used one time or more than one time as a pre and post test. It can also be used in whole or in sections. For programs who use the tool one time, the CRMT can serve as a needs assessment or a conversation starter with families who are new to your program. It can act as a snapshot of where families are when they start with you and may provide important information about referrals and resources they need. The CRMT becomes even more powerful when you use it more than once. You can use it as a needs assessment for new families, then you could administer it again in 6 months or a year to see if the family's scores have changed at all. If your program has a goal of improving families' protective factors, one or all of them that the CRMT measures, this tool can help you demonstrate that impact. Either way you use it, each protective factor is scored by section. You can look at individual families or look at all of your families together to see how you are doing as a program. For more information on scoring the CRMT, check out the video in this series called How to Score the CRMT-PF. Because each protective factor is in sections, this also means that the CRMT is modular. If it is not helpful to your program to use one or more of the sections, the tool can still work for your program. Just use the questions that pertain to the sections you want to use. For example, consider a program that provides a weekly parenting support group where they give out resources like diapers and bus passes. They may want to just focus on measuring families' increased social connection and concrete support scores, and whether they change over time. Therefore, this program might only use those two sections of the CRMT. We don't advise that programs remove too many individual questions within a section, as the questions all work together to measure that protective factor, but it is okay if you must skip a few. We don't recommend that you score a section unless at least 3 of the questions for that section have been completed. You can learn more about administering the CRMT as a whole or in sections in the video called How to Administer the CRMT. You can learn more about the culturally responsive measurement tool, Protective Factors, by following the link in the QR code or in the intro to this video. The links take you to the Best Starts for Kids blog, where you can find the most up-to-date information about the tool and the resources available to support using the tool. That includes additional videos, a scoring calculator, quick guides, translations of the tool, and much more. Thank you for the work you do in our communities to help families thrive.